Backslash, it was an ordinary busy afternoon at a small, cozy cafe tucked away on a quiet street. Nothing out of the ordinary, or so it seemed. The clinking of cups, soft chatter, and the hum of daily life filled the air. Behind the counter, a young woman moved gracefully between tables, her smile warm but tired. She was working hard as a waitress, serving customers one order at a time. But little did she know, her life was about to change in a way she never expected. Across the room, a sharply dressed man stepped in, his presence commanding attention even though he tried to keep a low profile. This wasn't just any man. He was a billionaire, a name known in business circles around the world, someone who had everything money could buy. Yet, today, he was here for a simple coffee. What happened next was something that caught everyone off guard. As the waitress approached to take his order, their eyes met, and suddenly, memories from years ago flashed between them. They weren't strangers at all. In fact, they shared a past, one that went back to the days of school uniforms, shared dreams, and a friendship that time had almost erased. How could someone who had once dreamed of a bright future now be standing on opposite sides of life's grand stage? The contrast between their lives was striking. One, living a life of luxury and power, the other working tirelessly just to get by. But fate, as it often does, had brought them face to face again. As he called her by name, the cafe seemed to fall silent for a moment. The waitress froze, her heart pounding with disbelief and a flood of emotions she hadn't expected to feel. Was this real? Was this the same person who once sat beside her in the classroom, who knew her dreams before the world got in the way? For the billionaire, this was more than a chance encounter. It was a moment that made him question everything he thought he knew about success, friendship, and life itself. What happened next between them would change both their lives forever. But before we get there, there's a story you need to hear. The story behind their friendship, the dreams they shared, and the obstacles they faced. How did two people who started from the same place end up so far apart? And most importantly, what will happen now that they've met again under such unexpected circumstances? Stay with me, because the answer isn't as simple as it seems. This isn't just a story about wealth or status. It's about hope, second chances, and the true meaning of friendship. The next chapter will reveal everything. They had grown up in the same neighborhood, a place where dreams were often bigger than the opportunities around them. Back then, they were inseparable, sharing lunches, swapping secrets, and promising each other that no matter where life took them, they would never forget those early days. The billionaire, whose name was Jake, was always the ambitious one, dreaming out loud about starting a business, traveling the world, and making a difference. His friend Mia was quieter but just as determined, hoping to build a life filled with happiness, even if it didn't come with fame or fortune. School days were simple, yet full of promise. They had big plans, fueled by youthful optimism and a belief that hard work could change anything. But as time passed, reality began to chip away at those dreams. Jake's family faced struggles that pushed him harder to succeed, while Mia's path took unexpected turns that forced her to put survival before ambition. After graduation, they lost touch, each caught up in their own battles and the pressures of adult life. Jake's journey was marked by late nights, relentless effort, and a few lucky breaks that eventually turned him into one of the wealthiest men in the country. Success, however, came with its own costs: long hours, constant pressure, and relationships that often felt shallow or transactional. Despite everything, the memory of Mia and their friendship lingered in the back of his mind, like a quiet reminder of what truly mattered. Mia's story was different. After school, she took whatever jobs she could find, determined to support her family and keep going despite the challenges. Life wasn't easy. Bills piled up, dreams were put on hold, and every day was a test of resilience. Working as a waitress wasn't what she had imagined for herself, but she took pride in her work, knowing that even in small ways, she was building something steady and real. When Jake walked into the cafe that afternoon, neither of them was prepared for the flood of memories and emotions. The years between them felt heavy, filled with unspoken words and missed chances. Mia couldn't help but wonder why he was here now, after all this time. Was it just a coincidence, or was there something deeper behind this unexpected reunion? For Jake, seeing Mia again brought a rush of feelings he hadn't anticipated: regret, curiosity, and a sudden urge to reconnect. The contrast between their lives was impossible to ignore, but so was the undeniable bond they once shared. What had changed, and what had stayed the same? As they exchanged cautious words and stolen glances, the question hung in the air: could their friendship survive this new reality? Or was this meeting just a fleeting moment, destined to fade as quickly as it came? There was so much more to uncover, so many layers to their story that neither of them was ready to face. The past was never truly behind them, and the future remained uncertain. What would happen next? Would they find a way back to each other, or would the distance between their worlds be too wide to cross? The answers were waiting, but not yet ready to be revealed. The air between Jake and Mia was thick with unspoken questions. For Jake, the sight of Mia reminded him of everything he'd left behind: the simplicity, the struggle, the person who had once believed in him without hesitation. But it also stirred something deeper: guilt. How had their paths diverged so sharply? And why had he never reached out before, despite all the chances he'd had? He knew that wealth couldn't erase the years lost, but maybe it could open doors that had been closed for too long. Mia, on the other hand, wrestled with a complicated mix of feelings. Seeing Jake brought back memories she had tried to bury, the dreams they shared, the promises made under a sky full of stars. But now, standing face to face with someone who lived in a completely different world, she felt exposed. Was this just a reminder of how far she'd fallen? Could she still trust the friendship they once had, or was it just a distant echo from the past? And what did Jake really want from this unexpected reunion? Their conversation was careful, polite, but beneath the surface, both knew there was much left unsaid. Jake wanted to understand Mia's life, the struggles she faced, the sacrifices she made, and maybe, somehow, offer help. Yet he feared his wealth would create a barrier, making his gesture feel more like charity than friendship. For Mia, pride was as strong as the hope she still carried. Accepting help meant admitting defeat, something she wasn't ready to do. Their worlds had changed, but the emotional distance felt even greater. As they talked, other stories began to emerge. Mia revealed how the cafe was more than just a job. It was a place she depended on, a stepping stone while she worked on her own small goals. She was taking night classes, hoping to improve her skills, quietly in the future. Jake listened, admiration growing beneath his cautious exterior. Here was someone up, even when relentlessly hard. Jake's life, from behind the gloss of success, there were pressures few saw: investing results, hungry for his next